Okay, it's raining, or it's stopping, and they've called us out to dry some cherries, so let's go do that. Trevor, you up?
Yeah, I'm on number 5 on LBF.
Okay, let's go to 12275.
Roger, on there.
Ben, you up?
Yes, I'm up.
Great. So we're all three up. Okay, so here we are at my first orchard to dry. This is called, well, actually it doesn't really matter what it's called, does it? It's 7 acres of cherry trees. I think they're sweethearts. I get down low over the trees and let the downwash do all the work. And if you're watching one of my cherry drying videos for the first time and you're saying, cherry drying, what the heck is she talking about? You need to read the description for this video, because I'll put a link in there that will tell you exactly what the heck I'm doing. They actually don't look too wet. This is the closest orchard to my house. It's about a quarter mile away. I go every other row. I also did another video, it's a cherry drying lesson, where I'm actually teaching another pilot how to do this, or showing him how to do it. I'm really not teaching him. Everyone knows how to hover. Every pilot, that is. This tall tree that I'm passing right now is probably a pollinator. They don't trim those. It's kind of a pain because I gotta go around it, make sure my tail doesn't hit it when I swing around. Have a pain in the butt. The rest of the trees are pretty uniform in height, which makes them easy to work, and the aisles are easy to see. And that thing there is a wind machine, and that's definitely something you don't want to hit. Wind machines are used for frost control. They're not used for cherry drying, although sometimes people will turn them on after a rain to try to get some wind into the tops of the trees, but it's really not effective, so most guys don't bother. They're used for frost control, so this little area here is kind of in a hollow, so in the wintertime it gets colder here than it does in other parts of the orchard. So they put a wind machine here, and it's powered by propane, which is why there's a propane tank under it. I just given it more space. I just do not want to hit the wind machine. Anyway, it's got a temperature sensor on, and when it gets to a certain temperature, and usually in the low 30s, that thing will kick on. It sounds just like a helicopter. And the blades on it spin, and the head of it rotates. So it just moves the air around, and what that does is it helps circulate the air to bring in some warm air and circulate it in with the cool air, and it brings the temperature up a little bit in the orchard. And this orchard has 2 wind machines. When you see me flying sideways, it's because I don't want usually it's because I'm coming downhill, and I don't want my tail rotor to hit the trees behind me, because if I'm going downhill, my front end is going to be lower than my back end if I go straight. So if I go sideways, they're kind of on the same level as far as the trees are concerned. I try to make all my turns over the trees so that I am effective not wasting any time or power outside the orchard, because who cares about what's beyond the cherry trees. And now that I'm drying this, I'm starting to, oh, there they are, okay. Starting to wonder if this has been picked, because I'm not seeing too many cherries. But here they are. There's another pollinator tree here, off to my left. In other videos, folks have been saying, you know, I thought you had to hold on to the collective all the time. The collective is what's in my left hand. You probably don't see it in the camera angle, maybe you do. And when I'm doing cherry drying, I have to hold on to it pretty much all the time because it's extremely precise flying, and I'm constantly making changes to my altitude with the collective. My speed is right now 6 knots, which is actually a little on the slow side. I could probably take it up to 7 or 8. And I am, my skids are probably in the treetops, which is okay. And my downwash, which you probably see in the camera that's facing me, you can see it out the sides of the helicopter, is going down into the trees all the way down to the ground. And it's giving the branches a really good shaking, which should shake all the water off the fruit. That's the goal. Not very exciting work. But you do have to stay alert, because when you start zoning off into other thoughts is when you get sloppy and you make mistakes. Oh, looks like I'm about halfway done. That's my neighbor's house. I don't know if you can see it up the top. Kind of a brownish red house with big windows. And then straight ahead, there's another one of my neighbors. This is my street right there. It's kind of funny. Gotta get around this wind machine. Give it lots of space. I know 2 pilots who have hit wind machines, and one case the guy crashed, he was okay, but the helicopter was totaled. And the other case, he just took the tips off the blades and the helicopter could still fly, but it was not airworthy. So it needed to be, needed a lot of work. It was probably close to $100,000 worth of work. Again, give it lots of space. So I'm working with a crew of 3 pilots total, including me, in Wenatchee right now. One of them went home yesterday. The season's starting to wind down, but slowly. We're really going to have our hands full today, if it rains everywhere. We share the workload, so it's not like we always dry the same orchards. We split them up, and sometimes I'll put 2 guys on an orchard if I've got 2 guys in a big orchard. Almost done here. This pond is used to hold water for irrigation and frost control. They use water in the wintertime for frost control on the apples, I think. I don't think they use them on the cherries. They don't have the irrigation system set up for that. But it's mostly for irrigation, storing water for irrigation. Hey Trevor, where you at?
I am currently over number 10 LBF.
Is that the last block there in LBF?
No, I've got 2B.
Okay. Okay, that's it. I just finished ATM Malaga, and I'm going to head up and get started on ATM Hilltop.
Okay, Roger, I got you inside.
Okay, so I'm leaving that orchard, going to another one. I want to turn this thing on. I'll record my track, it's kind of cool to see. So on these point-to-point flights, that's when I'm able to take my book out and find the page I need, if I need a page, and this is the page I need. Looks like it's gonna rain again. Got a little bit of rain on the windscreen. Hey Ben?
Yep.
I'm gonna get started on ATM top. I'm gonna start with blocks 1, 2, and see where I go from there, okay? So I'll start on that end.
Got about 2 more rows here on this lower section, then I'll got that little part up the top, and I'll be moving up there.
Okay. Let's see if I can find it from this direction. There's the ponds. Oh, here we go. Right here. It's actually right here.
You know if they got fuel back in the airport yet?
Are you saying that they ran out of fuel?
Yeah, went down there the other day. They completely out, didn't know when they were going to get it.
I have no idea. So I came in too high, so I have to spiral down, get to where I want to go, which is right here. Looks like they're starting to pick in here. They've got some boxes. Well, that's not a good thing. My back door just opened. Oh, crap. Alright, I gotta go park. Get my door closed. So, yeah, when unexpected stuff happens, you gotta deal with it. How strange that it waited until now to open. So I'm just gonna sit down here. Hopefully it's pretty level. Well, it doesn't look very level. Not level at all. That's what happens when I don't check the doors. Okay, so, not level at all, but we can deal with that. Bringing the speed back up. Make sure the other ones aren't gonna open. Okay. Picking it up. These guys are probably wondering why the hell is a helicopter sitting there. Ooh, sloppy, but it worked. Okay. Now I gotta climb. Get back to where I was. That's pilot error. I should have made sure all the doors were latched. See, stuff like that's bad. The thing is if I had something loose on the back seat, it could have flown out. It's on the side behind me, so the chances of it going in the tail rotor are less, but it's still possible, and that would have been a bad thing. So, lesson learned. And you know, I'm not ashamed, well, I'm ashamed, but I'm not afraid to admit when I make mistakes. You know, if you admit that you've made a mistake and you learn from it and you can teach somebody else, then that's a good thing. If you deny mistakes or hide your mistakes or whatever, you're not helping yourself and you're not helping anybody else. So I am perfectly aware of what could have happened, although I've got everything secured in the back, so I'm not worried about it. But still, it's sloppy pilot. That's how accidents happen. Pilots doing dumb things. So these trees have skeena cherries on them. I see them now. When I see cherry bins in an orchard, that tells me that they're getting ready to start picking. And when I see ladders in an orchard, that tells me they're picking. Now, they won't have the pickers pick in the rain. It's because, number one, who wants to work in the rain? And number two, the ladder steps could get slippery, and I think OSHA concerns come into play. If they were picking in this field, they would pull out when I came, because I will not fly over pickers. Absolutely not. They didn't sign up for that. This orchard often gets dried from the bottom while I'm drying it from the top. I don't see anybody in there right now. Oh yeah, there's one. You can see where they are because the branches are moving like crazy, but not where I am. And there's only two things that'll do that: a really strong wind, which we don't have, or somebody driving through with a blower. So you might see them down below me when I get to where they are. They like, for some reason, they like to video me flying over them. Yeah, he's in the next row over, I see him. The next row I'm gonna go in. Maybe you'll see him down below me, maybe not. What the blowers from the bottom are, they're tractors that are pulling a sprayer. Normally they use the sprayer to spray chemicals on the fruit, you know, pesticides and fertilizers or whatever else they have to spray on the trees. And what they do is they set them up with nothing in them. In other words, they're dry. And the fans still work, they still blow. They just don't blow anything out. And then they drive them up and down the rows as if they were spraying something. And that shakes the trees from the bottom, but it doesn't usually get the tops. Unless the trees are really small. If the trees are small, they can usually do a good job. Yeah, he's 2 rows over now on the other side. That's funny. He must have started on the other end. Wenatchee Unicom, helicopter 75434 Delta.
Wenatchee Unicom.
Hey Dana, do you have fuel?
No, not till Tuesday.
Okay, thanks. Hey Ben, in answer to your question, they do not have fuel.
Okay, copy that. Unless we get more stuff, I'll have enough for now. Where are you at now?
I'm out.
Oh, there.
Do you see me here? Oh yeah, there you are. So do you want to start on the other end?
Yep, I can do that.
Yeah, do 11 and 12 and then we'll see where we are.
Copy.
That's Ben. You can probably see him flying by. So, no fuel at the airport, that's a bad thing. I'm down to slightly more than half tanks. I probably have enough to finish the work we have this morning. I have some fuel in my other tanks. Hey Trevor, did you copy that on the fuel?
Yeah, I heard you.
Do you have fuel? Enough fuel to finish today?
Oh yeah, I'm still at 3/4 on both.
Okay. Let's see, we've got 2 different blocks here with 2 different widths. Let's see what we're gonna do here. We're gonna go this way. Okay, I'm sweating. Trouble is, I can't let go of the collective long enough to get the air conditioning switch on, so I gotta wait till I'm done with this block, and then or either that or climb up off the trees, which I really don't want to do. I don't usually fly over these guys because it scares them sometimes. One guy likes to take pictures, this guy did not want to take pictures. I will go around him. Got ladders set up here. Bring them in on trailers, specially designed ladder trailers. They're special ladders. They have 3 legs, which makes them super, super sturdy in uneven terrain. And the 3rd leg that comes out, pivots out, can be set at any angle. So that would make it more sturdy or less sturdy, higher, lower. Really gives them a lot of flexibility. They're made out of aluminum, and the just looking at these wires here to see how close I can get. I think I'm good. The pickers carry them around. So when they finish one tree, they'll take the ladder down, they'll move it to the next. So there's this set of wires running along the road. I'm actually not that close to the road, so I think I'm going to be okay here. Gonna keep my distance a little bit, because I do not like wires. A little bit more here. Watch out for those wires. That's close enough. Now I'm going to try this block right next to it, but I'm going to start in a different place so I can reach up and turn my AC on. Yay! And I always start at the bottom and work my way up. That's just the way I do it. I'm over apple trees. Take my turn. There we go. Oh, that feels much better. Now there's a tower pole here with wires. I need to get these trees down on the bottom. Gonna be tough to get down there. Let's see what I can do. Gonna do a little bit right here, and then the rest are gonna have to just deal with it. It's only fruit. You don't risk your life for fruit. Nobody should be risking their life for fruit. Is this where I want to be? I think so. Drizzling again. So when I didn't have air conditioning, I'd fly with my door off. And that usually got enough air going in, usually. But the drawback is if it started raining, and it was raining hard, you get really wet. Or I'd get really wet, I should say. Some folks have asked me, don't the cherries blow off the trees? And the answer is no, those cherries are going to stay on those trees. Cherries do not, the cherry themselves are really stuck to the stem, and the stem is really stuck to the tree. And picking cherries is probably the worst kind of picking. Maybe blueberries might be worse. Because cherry pickers are required to keep an eye on the cherry. Make sure they're only picking ones that haven't been bird pecked or moldy or split. And then also they've got to pick not just the cherry, but the stem. You always buy cherries with stems on because that's the way they come. And the reason is they stay fresher with the stem on. So what they're doing is they're not picking the cherry, they're picking the cherry's stem. And usually the cherries grow in clumps, so when they grab the stems, they're not just grabbing one stem, they're grabbing a whole bunch of stems. So the cherry pickers wear these specialized buckets that basically sit on their chests, you know, or over their stomach, kind of that position. They've got shoulder straps, padded usually, and the bucket's flat against their belly and a little rounded on the outside, and they a lot of times have a little bit of foam on the bottom to protect those first few cherries that go into the bucket. And they climb up the ladder with this bucket on their chest and drop the cherries in. And when that's full, they come down and then they dump it into an intermediate size container. They're either going to be a cherry bin, which holds 300 pounds, or it's going to be a cherry lug, which I think holds 60. And then they climb back up the ladder and get some more. And they're paid by how much they pick. And I actually did a video about this. I should put a link in on YouTube to it. It's interesting. It's all about cherry picking. It's not a helicopter video though. And they get paid by how they're picked. So they periodically, sometimes it's by the pick bucket, or sometimes it's by the lug. They get a slip or a stamp, or their card gets scanned into a computer. Really depends on the system that the grower is using. And if they pick a lot of junk, in other words, they're not weeding out the crap, if they're not cherry picking out the crap, then what happens is they are warned, and if they continue to do it, in other words, they're just filling their bucket with junk that's going to get weeded out in packing, then they're asked to leave. So they really do need to do their job properly.
Maria, this is Trevor. I'm done with LBF.
Okay, do you have the map for Timberline?
Let me check here.
It would probably be the last map in your book.
Okay, yeah, I've got Timberline.
So Timberline's got two parts. It's got the Rainiers, which are actually not on contract, and it's got the other ones that are outlined on your map. If you go, if you look on your ForeFlight, can you do the ones that are outlined on the map on ForeFlight?
Yeah, roger that.
And I'm going to be up there probably shortly to do a quick pass over the Rainiers. He wants it high, and he wants it special dried.
Okay, roger. I haven't been there yet. Is that on the other side of Wenatchee Heights?
No, it's on this side. It's, oh boy, I can't even describe it. It's up in the hills. It's really, really high up.
There's a couple lakes up there to the north of them.
On the map, it might, on the whatchamacallit map, the ForeFlight map, it might show up as T2.
Yeah, I got it. I'm headed there.
Yeah, I'm headed up there too, so I'll keep an eye out for you. And Ben, I got 1, 2, 3, and 5 here, so I'm done on this side. If you get 11 and 12, we should be done with this one.
Okay, sounds good.
And we might get called out to OTR, KDK, Cherryvale, so just stay tuned for that.
Okay, copy that. If I get back in time, I'll run and grab some more fuel and be ready.
Okay. So I'm on my way to the orchard right up there, and there's another pilot going to the same one, so I got to keep an eye out for him. Trevor, let me know when you're getting close, because I'm getting close to it.
I'm coming down on it right now.
Okay, I'm looking.
I'm just on the southeast side of the big tree.
I gotcha. So I'll be doing the stuff with the white underneath and you'll be doing the rest.
Yeah, roger that.
I see him out there. And there's another helicopter down there. Looks like a Jet Ranger. And I know there's a couple U's around here somewhere. So in this case, he's got Rainiers. That's with the white underneath. And then he's got, I think those are Sweethearts that Trevor's drying. We'll both work the orchard at the same time. The goal is to get the fastest service to the client. So with that said, if you can get 2 helicopters over the orchard at the same time, obviously it's going to be faster. So the Rainiers have delicate skins. They're getting close to harvest. So he wants me to fly high and not terribly fast, but high. And the reason is that they bruise easily, and if they bruise, they can't sell them. And the reality is that actually all cherries bruise, but on the Rainiers you can actually see the bruises. So yeah, I'm pretty high. I can see them flying around down there. So I'm in what's called an out of ground effect hover. Way out of ground effect. Well, not too way, but and it takes more power to fly up here, slow speed, than it does to do a regular hover or to just fly. But I'm by myself, and I have half tanks of fuel, so power is not an issue. It's all hillside, but I'm pretty high up, so I can actually fly up and down the rows. I just don't want to go too low or too fast. These trees are young, and because they're young, they've got, there's a lot of space between them, and they're light, so they don't really take much to dry. This is the highest elevation orchard that we work on. It's probably about 2,500 feet above sea level. And the reason they put them up so high is that it makes the cherries ripen later, so they're able to go into a market where there is less competition, so they can get more money for their cherries, stretching the season out the end. There's a bunch of people up there watching. They're probably here to pick, and they've been told to get out until I'm done. Let's see, because that's just way too many just to be watching, unless they're here for a reason. These sheets are held down. These look like they're held down, oh, nicely, with bungee straps. That's really nice. A lot of times they'll just put the sheets down and they'll heap up some dirt on top to hold them down. And the problem is if those things get loose and they get up into my tail rotor, I'm going to go down in it, and I don't want that. That actually happened to another cherry drying pilot a couple of years ago. Poor guy broke his back. So now there's ladders here lying down just underneath me, just where I was. So that's telling me these guys are probably picking in there. But they've moved out until I'm gone. Any pickers over there, Trevor?
No, I don't see anybody in the field.
I got some guys over here waiting for me.
Yeah, I can see them all standing over there taking video.
Got some ladders down here, but it looks to me like they might be leaving.
Pretty good sized field over here.
Yeah, he's got a lot of acres here. Should I wave to them? I won't. Might be the boss in the pickup truck down here. So it's funny because while I'm making videos from the inside of the helicopter drying cherries, there's lots of folks on the outside of the helicopter making videos. And I'm assuming this stuff goes on either Facebook or YouTube. Spanish Twitter or Mexican Twitter, whatever. Most of these folks are immigrants. A lot of them come up just for the season. Special visas. Some of the orchards have special housing for them to make it more attractive for them to come. I don't know if this orchard has any housing. I haven't seen it. You can see Trevor out the front there. Okay, I'm finished with this one. I gotta start the next one. Get down here, make sure I get these guys. So about these reflective sheets underneath. So these are Rainier cherries, and Rainier cherries start off yellow and then they turn red. They don't turn dark red though, they turn really light red. And the deal with these is if they are not red enough, in other words 50% red or better, they cannot sell them, which is absurd because they're just as ripe and just as delicious, but the color's not there. Like Trevor and I are going to get a little closer
I'm going to slow up a little bit and let you make your turn.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm done here, Maria.
Yeah, I'd say just go back to base, see if there's any more calls, but just stay close because there could be.
Okay, well, I'm going to run in and grab some fuel in the truck then.
Okay, so the white sheets. Sometimes they're white, sometimes they're reflective. These look like heavy-duty reflective. Sometimes they use Mylar, which is really super lightweight, and at the end of the season they just throw it away. These look like they're reusable. Anyway, so the sun comes down and it makes the cherries turn red, and if the bottom of the cherries don't get any sun, of course, so they're not going to necessarily turn red. So what they do is they put down these sheets, and the sheets reflect the sunlight back up to the bottom of the cherries. And when it does that, it helps to turn them red, all over, or mostly. So that's what this is going on here. It looks like I made a real mess with some of these sheets over here. What could you do? It's amazing what they'll do in order to make the fruit perfect. And it's amazing what they throw away. Just tragically amazing. Amazing in a negative way. I've got a client with, oh gosh, I guess it's about 10 acres of Rainier cherries, and some of them are split on the bottom, which is caused by the tree basically getting too much water. Nothing to do with what we do. And some of them are just not, red enough. And he's contemplating not picking them at all. So 10 acres, even if he only got, 10 tons per acre, that's 100 tons of cherries that might never get picked. Because the market won't pay him, they won't pay him what it's worth to pick it. Won't cover the cost of the picking. What I'm drawing here with the sheets is a total of about, I think, 14 acres. Now when you think about the cost of the sheets and the labor to lay them all down and then to gather them all up at the end of the season, I mean, it's got to be astronomical. So people have been saying, oh, helicopters drying the orchard, no wonder my cherries are so expensive. Your cherries are not expensive because of me. Your cherries are expensive because people want perfect fruit. They're expensive because it costs a lot of money to spray them and prune them and pick them and irrigate them. There's just a lot of costs in agriculture. And a lot of folks, they don't get it. They think, you know, you plant a tree, you come back every year, you gather the fruit, it's all money in your pocket. They don't realize how much money comes out of your pocket to make all that happen. These guys plant an orchard, they got to put in irrigation, they got to plant the trees, they got to take care of the trees for 4 full years before they get any fruit. So that's 4 years of money out of their pockets before they get any benefit at all. There's my last little section up here. Looks like Trevor might have gotten them already. The sheets are all bangled up. Got a little bit more, I'm almost done. Okay, Trevor, I'm done here. I'm out of here.
Okay, roger that.
Everybody's just hanging around.
So here's where I made 2 phone calls during the flight. I have Bluetooth capabilities on my phone, so I just push a button on my headset and I can use voice dialing to call people. I don't do this when I'm directly over the trees because I really do need 2 hands to fly, so I usually make any calls I have to make when I'm between orchards. I've blocked this part out because, in all honesty, I don't really think you need to hear me talking to my clients or checking with another pilot regarding fuel. But I did want to leave this part of the video in because it shows some of the scenery on my way back to my base. So sorry about pulling out the audio for this, but seriously, you don't really need to hear it.
We are. That's it.